Greetings, this is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct tonight from Black Facts Headquarters Central with another story of days gone by, people who did things on the fly, success and failure, striving to overcome obstacles put in our way. Tonight's story. Tonight we continue the story of Garrett Morgan, one of the most famous black inventors of all time, who was born in Tennessee but made his claim to fame right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Now, we talked a little bit last night about some of the things that he did, but we're going to go over that into a little more depth tonight. And we've got a, what's the word for it? Some more images we want to share with you as well. So just sit back, relax. But before you do that, go ahead, give us a like if you're watching on Facebook, a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, and last but not least, spread the word far and wide that when it's 9 o'clock, you should not try to hide. You should get on the internet, check out Black Facts at the Tubular Black Facts channel every single night. We're right here for you. So let's go ahead and get into it and begin with our slideshow tonight. We're doing this one off the cuff. We have a book here, but the book it's not going to really help us a whole lot. So we're going to just go ahead and kind of go right off the cuff with our slideshow. So let's begin. Garrett Morgan, Garrett Augustus Morgan, born in 1890, 97? Let me see, what's it say there? Born in 1877. Wow. Okay. Almost back in slavery days. Born in 1877. Oops, wrong way. Born in 1877. He had two major inventions that most people remember him for. But if you're looking on Facebook and you're seeing this image that we have up on the screen right now, you notice there's three things in that image. Number one is something that looks like a T, and that's the a drawing of the original automated or automatic stoplight. Then you see a picture of Garrett Morgan with his hair kind of slicked back. And then the last one you see is of a more modern version of his original gas mask. Now, the one with the picture of him, you might overlook that one and not realize that one also, there's also an invention in that picture that you may have missed. And that is his hair straightening product. Yes, that's right. He invented a hair straightening product as well. Why did he invent a hair straightening product? Maybe it has something to do with the fact that his AKA was Big Chief Mason, because people did not want to buy his equipment, particularly his gas mask, from a black man. So he had to pretend to be a Native American, and that hair straightening product would have helped that along, because nobody really knew what Indians looked like anyway. They knew they were a different color, but what color exactly is red anyway? It wasn't red like a light bulb, so therefore he could pass as a Native American. The only problem was with that kinky bush of hair he had on his head, and so he did something to somewhat disguise himself. Besides that, his wife had a beauty shop as well, and so the two of them went together. Now, you see here a modern version of the automated stoplight. And today we just have the 3 lights. But his version had the 3 arms. And so with the 3 arms, you had the 2 arms that would go out, and then that would tell somebody to stop. But when the 2 arms went up, that would tell the other people that they could, no. When the 2 arms were out, the people facing one direction would see stop, stop, stop. But the people on the sides would see go, go, go. When those arms went up, those people on this side would see that they could no longer go. They had to stop. Excuse me. And the other people could go. And so it was a much different design than what we have today. And although they called it automatic, somebody had to stand there and move the handle in order to get the signs to go up and down. And if you're looking on Facebook, again, you'll see here a more detailed diagram. Although it's kind of small, we've got them in different sizes as well. So as we keep going through here, you'll see it again. Now, what you see here is the original gas mask that he created, where the idea is that it didn't work on batteries. It wasn't electrical operated or anything like that. It was merely based on the fact that if you got close to the floor, most gases were lighter than air and would rise up. So the gas, fumes, smoke would be up here. But if you just had a device that would go all the way down to the floor, you could stand up and be able to breathe the air at the bottom of the floor, which would be pure air, or air that was not smoky or full of fumes, while the air with the smoke and the fumes would be above you. And so it has, some cutouts for the eyes with plastic in it or glass in it, so that you can see where you were going. And then it's got two tubes that go down to the bottom and turn into one tube, and will kind of trail behind you like almost like having a tail. Again, here's another image of the stop sign. So Garrett Morgan, being the inventor that he was, he learned a lot of his, he got a lot of his skills, not from going to school, but from watching. Just watching, observing, looking at how things worked, taking things apart with his eyes, putting them back together again. So he started off repairing sewing machines. And he went from the sewing machine repair to actually making products from scratch altogether. And being as how his part of what he was dealing with was sewing machines. And at that time, clothing was handmade, not store-bought. Then making the gas mask out of heavy cloth and sewing it together, it all fits together. It was a natural. So Garrett Morgan became famous when there was a disaster in Cleveland. You see, Cleveland is the kind of city that needed water, like all cities do, and it was created. It was founded on a river, the Cuyahoga River, but it was also right next to Lake Erie. It butts up on Lake Erie, and so for many of the industries in the area, they used the river for a number of things. They used it to power their equipment because they'd have water wheels that would be in the water. The river water would pass over the water wheel, and that would act as a generator and generate electricity, or it would just turn a wheel to be able to grind grains and things like that, because a lot of grains were grown around here. But it also was used as a dumping ground for chemicals. All kinds of nasty chemicals were dumped in the water. So much so that in the 1960s, Cleveland is the only city I've ever heard of that had a fire on a body of water. Okay, so we had a couple fires on the Cuyahoga River. But in 1916, it hadn't gotten quite that bad yet, But not only was the river polluted with these toxins that were being spewed out by the local factories and industries, but the lake itself had become contaminated, and the lake itself had gone to the point where you could no longer drink the water by the shore, and that's where Clevelanders were getting most of their water from, was right out of Lake Erie. And so what the city decided to do, the waterworks company, they decided to dig tunnels out about a mile offshore and then get water from further out so that the water would be clean. But then after a while, it got so polluted that even that was not enough. They had to go out further. So they built new tunnels that went out 3 miles under the lake. And that worked for a while. But then the water became so polluted, they had to dig new tunnels and go 5 miles out into the water. And that was the point where they had a big explosion in one of those tunnels. And a number of men were trapped beneath the surface of the water, 282 feet below Lake Erie, 5 miles out into the lake. The problem was, how were they going to get them out? How could they rescue them? Nobody had the ability to go in there. It was impossible to go in there with the smoke, the toxic gases, the methane gases, etc. that were trapped below the surface of the in those tunnels. Nobody had the ability to go out there and bring those men back safe. A number of men died trying to bring the other men out, until somebody contacted Garrett Morgan. Garrett and a friend of his or one of his relatives, they went out there with his equipment and were able to go down into these tunnels and bring the rest of the men out that were still trapped to safety. And so from that, his safety equipment became famous, and everybody wanted it. All the fire departments around the country wanted this Garrett Morgan safety hood. The problem is, when they found out he was black, his orders slowed down to a trickle, and he was not making anywhere near the kind of money that he should have been making based on his design and the effectiveness of the equipment. So he hired a white guy and had him pretend to be him, and he pretended to be Big Chief Mason, the hooded, the safety hood test dummy. And so he would don the equipment himself and go out and show people how the equipment could work. And that's how he was able to overcome that little difficulty of a black man selling this equipment in a world where black men, just the fact that a black man owned the company or had come up with the design was enough to nix the deal. And so that's how he became famous. And then years later, he came out with another invention. So he had the hair straightener, he had the gas mask, and then he came out with a third invention, which we'll save for tomorrow night to go deeper into his third and major invention. I'm sure he probably had other inventions as well, but you can, as you look at these images here, you can see there are a lot of different versions of his original gas mask. And then here you see a picture of him coming out of the tunnels with one of the men. The other thing about his equipment is you could put it on very quickly and you could take it off very quickly. That was another thing about his equipment. It was very convenient to use it. Right. So Garrett Morgan, here he is holding one of his safety hoods, one of his original safety hoods. And you can see it kind of makes him look like a monster, the way that hood looks. It's pretty kind of frightening looking when you look at it. But even the modern gas masks that we have today are pretty scary looking. When you see somebody coming at you with one of those on, yeah, they look pretty frightening to me. So we wanted to introduce you to Garrett and give you an idea of what he had done. if you want to go and see some of his equipment, some of the original equipment that he produced, you can go to the African American Museum in Detroit, and you can see some of the original equipment there. And I believe they also have some in the National Museum of African American History and Culture in DC as well. So you could also go there. So you've got two locations you could go to actually see some of his life-saving equipment. He had a number of products he developed that were all about saving lives. And that is, in a nutshell, is part one of the story of Garrett Augustus Morgan, born 1877, died 1963. So we'll continue. We'll talk about his last design, his third major invention, tomorrow night, and then we'll move on to another inventor. This is a whole month that we're going to be focusing on inventors, African American, Black inventors, African inventors, Black inventors of the world. So not just here, but over there and everywhere, because we have inventors and a talent for inventing things that we've been using since time began. And we wanted to share some of the names of these inventors as well as some of their inventions, even in the cases where we don't know their names. We wanted to at least share what their inventions are, because we've invented everything from numbers to ways of counting numbers to safety equipment, etc., etc., etc. In the meanwhile, all you little children out there in tubular Black Facts land, it's about time for each and every one of you to lay your little head on your little pillow, on your little bed, and close those your eyes while you wait on that sun to rise. And when you feel those sunbeams beaming down on your eyes, you'll know that it's time for you to rise and shine, oh chillin' of mine. And all you adults out there, you know what time it is too. It's the first of the month. So go ahead and drop something on us, okay? Give us a little dab. A little dab will do us. Help support Black Facts. You can do it easily by making your donation at www.blakfacts.org. You can make it on go to the description area for our live streams on Facebook or on YouTube, and there'll be a link there that will take you to a page where you can make a donation at. You can also do it on your if you're using your mobile phone, just hit the notifications area and you'll see a column come up on the right. Go down the column and look for Black Facts, and you'll see you can make a donation there as well. So if you don't mind, we would really appreciate that, because we still need to get more materials so we can bring you more information. More materials in our Crosby archives equals more stories, more material, more knowledge, more wisdom. In the meanwhile, peace out without a doubt. We'll be black tomorrow night. And of course, we got to have a little justice with our peace, because peace with no justice disgusts us. Good night, good luck, and good dreams for all you little ones out there. Peace out, y'all.